Welcome to Collaborative Lives in Context, or CLIC, Service-Based PBL Guided Tutorial. This guided tutorial is designed to assist TAMUCC graduate students in the Instructional Design and Educational Technology, or IDET program, or any of those students taking any of the IDET classes, with becoming familiar with the CLIC Blackboard shell and the service-based, project-based learning PBL process. Please be sure to complete the pre-assessment, assessment, and survey associated with this tutorial. So let's take a closer look at Collaborative Lives in Context, or CLIC, Service-Based PBL. Some questions you may be asking yourself at this time are: what exactly is a service-based PBL? What is the CLIC shell? What will I be expected to produce as a part of this course? Are these any of the questions that are running through your head? In this guided tutorial, you will be presented with a brief explanation of the Collaborative Lives in Context shell, as well as a definition, examples and non-examples, and the steps of a service-based PBL. This tutorial will help you prepare for the project that you and your peers will be working on for the remainder of this course. Your objective? After completing the CLIC PBL guided tutorial, IDET students will be able to accurately define and describe, in their own words, what a service-based PBL is, and explain the steps involved in developing a service-based PBL project within 3 days of the start of Session 1. We will start with a brief history of Collaborative Lives in Context, or CLIC. Project-based learning has been actively implemented in IDET 5320 since the fall of 2003. The coursework you will see here is based largely upon the works of David Marsan and resources such as Edutopia and the Buck Institute for Education. Over the years, Dr. Susan Elwood has added service and global connection components to produce the framework seen in CLIC. Dr. Rodriguez joined the CLIC implementation in 2012. IDET students have implemented 4 rounds of collaborative CLIC projects within their courses to date. This project, We Are the Change, a CLIC project to promote tolerance and bring an end to bullying in our schools, is just one example of the many projects completed. Now that we have an understanding of what CLIC is and the history behind it, let's define what PBL is and what service-based PBL constitutes. According to the Buck Institute for Education, project-based learning, or PBL, is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to a complex question, problem, or challenge. Edutopia defines project-based learning as a dynamic classroom approach in which students actively explore real-world problems and challenges and acquire a deeper knowledge. When you look at both definitions, there seems to be a common theme, that the learning process is student-centered. Students are exploring, working, investigating, responding, and acquiring. They are essentially taking charge of their learning experience. Project-based learning is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to a complex question, problem, or challenge. Essential elements of PBL include public audience. Students present their work to other people beyond their classmates and teacher. Service-based learning is a teaching and learning strategy that integrates meaningful community service with instruction and reflection to enrich the service learning experience. It also teaches civic responsibility and helps to strengthen communities. These are just a few examples of some of the elements of high-quality service learning. Student voice, reflection, integrated learning, high-quality service, collaboration, civic responsibility, evaluation. These are terms that you will hear over and over again within the CLIC PBL shell. A service-based PBL is a project that focuses on identifying a need within the community and creating a solution for it. So let's take a moment and take a brief knowledge check. What is project-based learning? Project-based learning, or PBL, is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to a complex question, problem, or challenge. What do you think a service-based PBL is? Service-based learning is a teaching and learning strategy that integrates meaningful community service with instruction and reflection to enrich the learning experience, teach civic responsibility, and strengthen communities. So how could you turn this PBL into a service-based PBL? So you've created a PBL in which students on a campus prepare healthy snacks in order to promote healthy lifestyles. Think, what could you do to turn this PBL into a service-based PBL? You're more than welcome to pause the recording as you come up with some ideas. Students at this elementary chose to donate their proceeds from their healthy snack sales to a local food bank and homeless shelter to help feed the hungry. You can check out Edutopia for other ideas for service-based PBLs and project-based PBLs. So before starting the CLIC service-based PBL process, it is beneficial to the process to reflect upon your past. Think about what you can offer to your team and the project. Take a moment to think about the following questions. Have you ever worked with a nonprofit or for-profit organization in the past? If so, would they be a potential target site? Or could they be a potential contact? Some other items to consider. Has that organization ever been faced with a problem that required several steps to solve it? Or perhaps you were presented with a problem in class and were tasked with finding a solution. Did you play a role in finding a solution? How did you go about identifying that solution? Or if the organization is still faced with the problem, could the CLIC PBL process offer a pathway to a solution? If you were a part of identifying and finding a solution for an organization in the past, did you work on a team? What role did you play for that team? Are you good at communicating, writing, technology, being creative, brainstorming? These are some examples of questions to ask yourself when preparing to begin the CLIC PBL process. Many students have found that they have made contact with potential service sites and local global contacts through activities in their daily lives. For an example, an IDET student that volunteers in an after-school literacy program may see an opportunity to work with that organization during the CLIC PBL process. Or a student that visits a local vet's clinic may see that the office is in need of helping recruiting volunteers for a free emergency clinic for animals. This is where service-based PBL comes in. IDET teams could design, develop, and implement projects that would provide solutions for the needs of the after-school program and the ER clinic. In your PBL shell, you will see some ideas for local contacts, local service outlets, global connections and global contacts, and target design sites. Be sure to use these resources to identify your potential target design sites and local and global contacts. In order to get some ideas of what a service-based PBL looks like, please review the following projects that were completed by past IDET students. Reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's. It's so easy a kindergartner can do it. This group worked with an elementary school in Fort Worth, a middle school here in Corpus Christi, as well as an elementary school in Japan. Students visited a local retirement center and showed the retirees how they could take their unwanted items or no longer needed items like plastic and glass and turn them into planters, candle holders, as well as some other fun items. We Are the Change, a CLIC project to promote tolerance and bring an end to bullying in our schools. Created lessons that helped guide students through their process of creating their own public service announcement videos to bring an end to bullying in their schools and promote an era of tolerance. The Youth Leadership Academy Literacy Project worked with students in a low socioeconomic neighborhood to create their own holiday-themed storybooks, share their storybooks with a friend, and then later take their storybooks home to give to other members of their family for the holidays. So let's take a moment to reflect. Take a moment to think of an example of a service-based PBL project. What would you think would constitute a service-based PBL? Again, feel free at any time during these knowledge checks and reflections to pause the video until you're ready to begin again. Any one of the numerous activities and projects that you see in the folders in the CLIC shell are prime examples of service-based PBLs. Think about what you see in those projects. Again, they all have the same theme of student-centered learning that focuses on identifying a need within the community and creating a solution for it. Next, let's take a look at the steps involved with designing, developing, and implementing a service-based PBL for the CLIC. We will start off by establishing the collaborative team. Teams will then want to identify and recruit the target site, identify target site service need, and complete a needs assessment template based on the initial interview of the target site. Teams will also want to identify local and global contacts, design and develop a plan, review the plan with target sites and contacts, implement the plan, assess and revise the plan as needed, evaluate the plan, and then finally present the project. When you begin your work in the CLIC Blackboard shell, you will have access to a series of videos that will identify the activities and deliverables for each session. The videos provide an in-depth step-by-step explanation as well as examples of the items that will need to be executed. So let's take a closer look at what we have in the session content. You will have 7 sessions within the CLIC PBL shell. So let's take a look at Session 1. Session 1 is where teams will be establishing the collaborative team. Students will want to sign up for a collaborative team, assign roles and responsibilities, And create and develop a positive team environment by establishing collaborative and communication strategies. When you get started in the CLIC PBL process, you will begin with forming your team, brainstorming and identifying possible ideas, setting up the team folder within Google Drive, and reaching out to prospective target sites and contacts. Teams should also be developing presentations or rather 30-second elevator speeches that they will use to secure target sites and contacts. Teams will also want to determine how they will communicate throughout and collaborate on the project. One tool that the team can use is a contact log. Your contact log is a crucial communication piece. This is where you'll have your local contact and your global contact information. This is where you can also keep track of who's communicating with whom and what the outcome of that communication was. This is great for you to give to your professors at the end of the session, but it's especially valuable for the group to keep up with communication and to see who exactly is being accountable and completing their communication task. So now it's time again for another knowledge check. Which is more important in a CLIC PBL? Communication or collaboration? Why? Both are crucial. When you get started in the CLIC PBL process, you will begin with forming your team, brainstorming, and identifying possible ideas, setting up the team folder in Google Drive, and reaching out to prospective target sites and contacts. It is essential that team members are in regular contact with each other. Teams will also want to determine how they will communicate throughout and collaborate on the project. It is highly recommended that teams use tools such as Google Sites, Google Chat, Skype, WebEx to communicate throughout the project. The next step in the service-based PBL process would be to identify and recruit the target site. Within your Session 1 folder, you will see a link that will help you find local and global community partners. You will also find a link that will provide information on how to write a 30-second elevator speech, and your checkbook for building relationships and identifying local and global contacts. Let's take a closer look at your local and global contacts resource list. The service site is where your target learners will serve out their learning outcomes. You decide upon what they do with your target design contact. The target design contact is a teacher or a trainer with an instructional need for your PBL project that will have their learners serving out to the greater community. A note: you may see differing terminology based upon when the documents were made. However, you should have the two different types of project contacts in your project: local and global. The 30-second elevator speech template will provide you step-by-step instructions on how to create your elevator speech or your pitch to present out who you are and project ideas to your target service site, local and global contacts. Your check brick for building relationship, local and global contacts just gives you an idea of what the expectation is by the end of the project. Once you have identified and recruited a target site, you will then need to find out what that target site service needs is. This can be accomplished in an open interview with your prospective target site. The team should ask questions, but most important piece is listening to what your site needs from you. In an open interview, the team may go in with a set of specific questions, but the interview should grow from your site's responses. CLIC teams have used interviews, surveys, and focus groups to identify what it is they can do for their site. This is an example of a survey that was created using SurveyMonkey for our 3Rs project. Teams can also use the forms in Google Drive to create their own surveys. Once the team has gotten an idea of what the target site's needs are, they will then complete a needs assessment template based on the initial interview of the target site. This process will be explained more in the Session 2 tutorial. The team will work to develop a needs assessment for their target site, create a PBL plan, and review the plan with that target site. The needs assessment is a process with which the team can identify and really dig in to see what types of solutions they can provide their target site. Here is an example of a needs assessment that was filled out for the We Are the Change CLIC project. The team thought about who their target group for this project was and where they were located. They described the specific problem that the project would address. They identified the key subject matter or curricular requirements. They thought about the target group's motivation. They also thought about any special characteristics. The team then worked to identify any motivational, incentive, or environmental factors that would hinder performance. Finally, the team described the learning outcomes that their project would address. They worked to list the major learning goals and supporting objectives. This team also chose to attach their survey that they used to answer the questions for their needs assessment. The needs assessment is a crucial step in developing your team's project. The team will want to seek feedback from the target site as well as the contacts during this step. When properly completed, it can save the team a lot of time during the designing and implementing steps of the process. The team may need to create a survey in order to collect data for the needs assessment. Again, teams can use Google Forms or SurveyMonkey to do this. Once the team has identified the target site's needs and worked through the needs assessment process, they will then want to begin to consider what local and global contacts can work with the team and the target site. Identifying local and global contacts can occur at different times throughout the process. There have been times that teams have established their target site as well as the contacts at the beginning of the project. There have also been times that the team has identified their contacts based off the needs of the site that the team is servicing. Finally, there have also been instances where a contact has failed to come aboard with the process. It is highly recommended that a team make a list of several potential sites and contacts. Teams can refer back to the previous projects for ideas on sites and contacts. The CLIC Blackboard shell also offers suggestion for sites and contacts. If teams are having difficulty finding a site or a contact, they may want to network with their fellow TAMUCC grad students. Collaborative sessions such as the CLIC's WebExes have provided teams with solid ideas and leads on sites and contacts. Once the target site and contacts have been identified and the needs established, teams will want to focus on developing a plan of action with the Team Plan template. This will be done in the step Design and Develop the Plan, which will occur during Session 3 of the PBL process. When completing the project-based learning team template, teams will want to think about what it is they are trying to accomplish. Here's an example of a project plan template that was filled out for a previous project. Teams will want to think about what they know and what the learners need to know. Teams will want to identify the driving questions that will be addressed by the project. They'll want to think about the objectives that are to be mastered and the events and materials that will be facilitated in the project in the form of assessment that will be used to measure performance. Another document that is significant in this step is the completion of the timeline, task, and milestones template. A milestone is a major project component that needs to be completed. A task is a step toward completing a milestone. Some milestones are small and may only have one task. Others are large and will require several tasks to complete. The subtasks are smaller steps that will need to be taken to complete the task. The resource will indicate what the participant will need in order to complete the task, and the timeline will indicate the particular workday on which you plan to complete the task listed. Again, this is an example of a timeline, task, and milestones template that was saved in a team folder for the project and used to hold their teammates accountable for collaborating and producing the deliverables for the project. The documents that you see here on the Team Timeline, Task, and Milestones template are always open to constant revision throughout the process. It is now time for another knowledge check. What type of assessments are used in the CLIC PBL process? Feel free to go back and review. You will have formative assessments as well as authentic assessments. Why is it important to complete a timeline, task, and milestones template? This template serves as a detailed means of holding team members accountable for collaborating and producing the deliverables for the project. Our next step in the PBL process, the team will want to review the plan with the target site and contacts. Once the plan has been developed, it should be presented to the target site and the local and global contacts that the team is working with. Teams will want to be open to suggestions and feedback from the service sites and contacts. These will be the people that the project is for. Think of it as being a designer that has been asked to make a gown for a movie star. You will want to impress your ideas and designs, however, you will not be the one wearing the dress. Just like a custom dress, house, or car, it needs to be constructed for the person who will be using it. Once teams have gotten the go-ahead from the target site and the contacts, they will then begin to want to implement their plan. The team will need to implement the project and take notes on their observations and activities. Teams will want to take pictures, record, and/or log any activities that are taking place during the implementation stage. During this time frame, the team will also want to work to assess and revise the plan as needed. Teams will want to go back and revise learning materials based on their observations and assessments during the implementation process. Teams will want to be sure to leave notations that explain the reasons for the changes. This helps future users to understand why the updates were made in the first place. In one of the final steps, the team will want to evaluate their plan. In this step, the team will be reflecting back upon the project and evaluating the outcome. Teams will also solicit feedback from the site contacts and participants. Teams can have the participants fill out a survey. However, there will be a template within the CLIC that contains specific questions that the teams will need to ask their site. This is another crucial step in the process that can lead to further development of the project or other ventures that stem from the project that the team just completed. In the CLIC PBL process, team members will be asked to evaluate each other. This is another means to ensure that all members of the team are contributing and doing their part. Another way to hold everyone accountable. Knowledge check. Is it acceptable for the plan to change throughout the PBL process? Why or why not? Yes, many teams have experienced change during the PBL process. Do not be concerned by its fluidity, as that is where many of your future implications will come from. It is not uncommon to see new growth ideas come from the service-based PBLs during the implementation stage. Why is evaluation a step in the CLIC PBL process? This is another crucial step in the process that can lead to the further development of the project or other ventures that stem from the project that the team has just completed. We have come to our final step in our PBL process. It is now time to present the project. In this final step of the CLIC PBL process, teams will present their project to their peers and professors. Teams will also want to invite target and local global participants to join in the presentation process. Time for your final knowledge check. What are the steps of the service-based PBL process? There were quite a few. If you need to go back and review the steps, please feel free to do so at any time. The steps are as follows. First, you'll want to establish the collaborative team. Once the team has been solidified, you'll want to identify and recruit a target site. You will work together with your team to identify the target site's service need. The team will then take that information and complete a needs assessment template. After you've identified the need and proposed a solution, the team will work to identify local and global contacts, design and develop a plan, review the plan with the target site and contacts, and then implement the plan. During the implementation process, teams may want to assess and revise the plan as needed. Once the project has been delivered, teams will want to evaluate their plan and present their project. What is the most significant step in developing a service-based PBL? All of them. Each step is a crucial component of the PBL process. We have come to the end of our guided tutorial. At this time, you will take the assessment and complete the evaluation. You will then proceed to the CLIC shell and begin the PBL process. You will have access to the introductory videos for each session, and you can always come back to review this tutorial if needed. Remember, at any time that you need assistance or guidance while working through the PBL process, make sure that you are communicating with your professors, team members, and peers.